It's Footloose night on The Masked Singer, and we have Group A returning. One will be eliminated before the end of the episode, and some of these clues, I gotta be honest, have me second guessing myself a little bit. Let's talk The Masked Singer. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my recap and reaction video for The Masked Singer Footloose Night. We are in season 12. This is episode 2, and we once again meet Group A. We have 4 remaining contestants in Group A. There's no wild card, and apparently this whole season does not have wild cards. One of you in the comments last week tipped me off to that. I believe it was Blake that had mentioned that. I didn't know that. Usually we have wild cards, but look, every season they like to keep us on our toes. So I guess this season we're just going to have 5 in Group A, 5 in Group B, and 5 in Group C, and leave it at that. So with that being said, speaking of the comments are a very, very important part of my Masked Singer videos because it helps me sort of form some opinions that maybe are things I had not thought about, including one of the contestants for Group A, which she was not on my radar, and you guys really all said it in the comments, like, hey, I think it's this person. So we're going to get to that very soon because she actually performed first. But yes, please comment with your thoughts and let me know what you're thinking or how you like my guesses. But look, other than commenting, you can like this video. That helps the channel. And of course, if you're not one of my subscribers already, please consider subscribing. Would love to have you aboard there. So like I said, it is Footloose night, and Robin Thicke started us off by singing the title cut, Footloose by Kenny Loggins. And last week I forgot to mention that Rita Ora came out and sang Who Can It Be Now by Men at Work for all of us. So this week it was Robin's turn. But we have the Showbird, Ship, the Woodpecker, and Buffalo are the ones left over. So first up is Showbird. And full disclosure, Showbird is the one going home. So after I read the clues and everything, we're just going to go right to the Take It Off, and then we'll talk about the other 3 contestants. And there was no Battle Royale either. Maybe they'll start doing that when we get down to 3 in each group. I don't know. But for tonight, it was just we're going to get rid of 1, and it was the Showbird. So, all right. She said, when I got the chance in the spotlight, work became my life. I was married to it. And at that point, we see a bunch of diamond rings, many different colors. But real love was missing in my life, just like in Footloose. They had to, connect it somehow to the movie. But of course, they all sang a song from the movie as well. Recently, I reconnected with an old friend. And at that point, we see, I wrote sightseeing telescope, but I don't know what it's really called. It's one of those things you put the quarter in, and it has the handles, and you like look through, and you can see, the Statue of Liberty or whatever it is, closer up. But we saw that, and then we see a purple cupcake as well. And she goes back to talking about her old friend. She said she found love with him, and he's encouraged me to go back to my first love, which is singing. So she does Let's Hear It for the Boy, of course, one of the most popular songs from the Footloose movie. And then we get a clue from sort of reminiscent of the movie Footloose. This is all because of Footloose's 40th anniversary. I'm sure they paid a bunch of money, to Fox for this. But we see a music box, which looks just like the one in the movie, and it starts playing kind of a hip-hop beat. And so she dances a little bit to that and says that she was part of a hip-hop group, or what did she say? Hip-hop family. She said, in 94, I wrote it down. In 94, I was part of a hip-hop empire. And that is important because of one of the guesses. But the group stuck with the guesses that they said after the performance. So we're going to go right to the Take It Off here in just a second. Ken said that it might be his Community co-star, Yvette Nicole Brown, which is not a name that was mentioned last week. And Ken doesn't usually get his co-stars correct. But, this time, maybe he's onto something. We had Joel McHale last week introducing the Showbird, and, it was, all the introductions were done by somebody with a connection to this person, so that could make sense. And Robin agreed with that. He thought it could also be Yvette Nicole Brown. Jenny, sticking with what she said last week, Taraji P. Henson, or actually, I think Rita said it last week, but in any event, part of a hip-hop empire. So there we go, thinking about Taraji P. Henson. And then Rita thinks it could be Taraji P. Henson, but wanted to go off in a different direction anyway, just to throw somebody else into the mix. The Purple Cupcake reminded her of Prince, so she said it could be one of the Prince proteges from the 80s, Sheila E., who's an excellent drummer. We haven't heard her sing much, but she did have a hit single in the 80s with The Glamorous Life. But here's where I am on this. Look, last week I was not sure where to go with the Showbird. I really wasn't. But Yvette Nicole Brown is what all of you guys said in the comment section. Pretty much everybody was on that train. And once y'all said that, it sort of started clicking. Of course, the Joel McHale connection with Community. But some of the other things, that we saw a gavel, and how she's been in some of the biggest blockbusters ever, Out of My Element. Okay, Yvette Nicole Brown, here's what some of these things mean. She was apparently on Drake and Josh. One of you guys had said that in the comments. I am aware of that show. I'm familiar with the show, but I never watched it. I mean, I was well into my 20s when that was on, so I think that's a Nickelodeon one, right? It's either Nickelodeon or Disney Channel, but either way, like, that was, I knew what it was, but it was kind of off my radar, so I didn't even realize Yvette Nicole Brown was in it. But apparently, I guess she took them to court in one episode or something. You had mentioned it in the comments, whoever you are. But some of the biggest blockbusters ever. So I wasn't aware that she was part of one of the Avengers movies. I sort of forgot that, I guess. But they have so many people in it. But I did know that she was in this summer's Inside Out 2, which is now the biggest animated film of all time from the box office. It made well over $600 million just in the U.S. And well over $1 billion worldwide. And so I think that is what those diamond rings that were sitting on the table in the clue package represented. The different colors of the different emotions in the Inside Out movie. So that could be something. But also, I did not realize that she had a slight singing career in the 90s, and there were 3 microphones in the first clue package, and somebody had mentioned on the panel Jennifer Hudson because of Dreamgirls. Well, apparently Yvette Nicole Brown, and one of my commenters, Nyan, mentioned this as well, which I didn't realize, and I love the movie Dreamgirls. It's one of my, literally, like, in my top 20 of all time. I love it. But I didn't realize that Yvette Nicole Brown, I guess, was, had auditioned for it, and maybe was in a small role that got cut or whatever, but she auditioned for, one of the major roles in that movie, which I didn't realize. And so then the hip-hop empire in the 90s, Motown Records, she was signed with Michael Bivins from Belle Biv DeVoe and New Edition. And so I am with you guys on this. I think Ken's actually going to figure out one of his co-stars for once. I think this is Yvette Nicole Brown. So let's go to the Take It Off and see. Ken's going to be so happy if it's her. It is. And listening to the voice tonight, I knew it was her. She wasn't on my radar. I wasn't thinking of her last week, so it didn't occur to me, but yeah, tonight I could definitely hear it in her voice. So there you go. Well, I missed last week's, so I'm now 1 for 2, 50-50 so far.
First of all, this is a love letter to Ken. They've been asking me to do the show for years, and
that makes sense that they'd want her to do the show for a long time.
When it didn't work out, and so I always said no. But for you,
scheduling wise, maybe it wasn't working out before, but for Ken, she'll do it. That's very nice.
Honestly, your family, right. We've gone through everything together. Our careers.
Started around the same time.
Like the bond that we
have. They've both been in the industry for a while, kind of, hidden gems, I guess. Until, well, of course, Ken was in the Hangover movies and stuff, but, she didn't really pop until Community, although I guess Drake and Josh, that is obviously a successful show. But, all right, so there we go. So let's move on now. We have 3 more to get to, and let's talk about the ship. So she said, kick off your Sunday shoes. It's easier said than done. That's a line from Footloose, kick off your Sunday shoes. Because I was in a boot. In high school, I was the star cheerleader, class president, and prom queen, but I injured my foot and had to sit for a year. So I played piano for hours and hours. I channeled my sorrow, joy, and expression. Music became my paradise. And there was a window, like a port in the ship that she opened that was shaped like a heart. And then she said, "Now the only boots I wear are made of leather." And she sings Almost Paradise, another great song. Look, Footloose has a great soundtrack. We know that. And that was a duet originally, but, she made it a one-woman number. And my God, she killed it again. I mean, she has an amazing vocal range. And so let's talk about the guesses from the panel. I don't think any of it's funny. None of the panel has said the top, two guesses for me and from you guys in the comments on this singer. So Rita was thinking maybe Kate Bush and some of the clues she had matched up, but with the piano stuff, she was thinking more Sarah McLachlan. Robin chimed in and said, yes, definitely Sarah McLachlan on the piano, but maybe Amy Grant as well. And then Ken was thinking Sheryl Crow. It's definitely not Sheryl Crow. I mean, I think he's in the right ballpark, though. I think the Sarah McLachlan and the Sheryl Crow guesses are in the right ballpark. So last week, I had talked about two singers that this could be, and I went with one over the other based on some of the clues, but also the vocal acrobatics at the end of the song. And she does it again here tonight. I was between Paula Cole and Annie Lennox. And you guys in the comments surprised me because a lot of you did not know who Paula Cole was. And by name, I can understand that. But how do you not know the song I Don't Want to Wait? It was the theme song to Dawson's Creek and, a huge, huge hit at the time. But the clues from the clue package were from her song Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? That was certainly more of a minor hit. Although chart-wise, I think it might have actually done better than I Don't Want to Wait, but that was the theme song to Dawson, so it was longer enduring for sure. But Annie Lennox, a lot of you were saying in the tone, I hear Annie Lennox. But the problem with Annie Lennox is I don't really know about her with these clues. Like, I've matched almost every clue to Paula Cole, and I can match almost nothing to Annie Lennox. And look, I love Annie Lennox. I also don't know that she would do this show, but stranger things have certainly happened, I guess, with The Masked Singer. But I just don't know that she would be doing this show. So tonight I was really listening for the vocals because I don't think the clues really helped me. Although the piano, Paula Cole, certainly is a piano star. Sarah McLachlan is too, but Annie Lennox not so much. In fact, I don't know that Annie Lennox plays any instruments. I think her instrument is her amazing voice. So I think that kind of also rules Annie Lennox out. So for me, with what we know of the clues and the vocals, it's got to be Paula Cole in my mind. And if you don't know her, check it out. I posted last week in the description of the video a clip to her singing backup for Peter Gabriel on In Your Eyes on his world tour. And my God, the vocal acrobatics that she does. She's repeating them here on The Masked Singer. And I hope something comes of it for her because I think she could definitely be going all the way to the finals with this act. All right. So next was the Woodpecker. She said, while most kids played in tree houses, I was planting roots in Hollywood. Growing up in front of the world was awkward. I couldn't wear heels like boys or cuss. And it's one thing when your mom tells you what to do, another when everyone else is chirping in. And boy, I can't even read my writing. They showed something at that point. Oh, a briefcase. Okay. And then she said, I danced to Growing Pains at my own pace. So we're on the child star tip. Nobody picked up the bait when she said Growing Pains. Obviously, that's a Robin Thicke related show. His dad was the father on that show, Alan Thicke. But nobody said this could be Tracy Gold or the gal that played Ashley. So I think we ruled those out. But she sang Holding Out for a Hero. Boy, all of these songs are so good. From Bonnie Tyler, a big part of the Footloose soundtrack. The guesses from the panel, Rita said it could be Letitia Wright. I think Rita is really off her game so far this season. She hasn't said too many things that I thought were right. Willow, who was mentioned last week, we're still talking about Willow. And then Regina King was mentioned. Certainly, I think Jenny said her. Certainly a child star. She was on the sitcom 227 in the 80s. And if you know anything about 227, it's Too Funny. That was one of their ads that they used to run. 227 is Too Funny. But Regina King started on that show, so certainly a child star. But the clue after the song Oh, you know what? Wait, hold on. Did I talk about the ship's clue? I did not. All right, let me finish with the woodpecker. We'll go back to the ship for a second. The clue was a replica of Kevin Bacon's shoes, and she said another bird from this show shares a stylish obsession with me, but she put the emphasis on the ish. Shares a stylish obsession with me. And so those were still the guesses. Nobody on the panel thought that she said ish a little bit funny. We're thinking about Blackish, which we've had Jennifer Lewis has been on the show, and Anthony Anderson has been on the show, both from Blackish. And what's funny is, I think it was Ken even talked about Anthony Anderson because Willow, I guess, did some sort of Christmas special with Anthony Anderson. So he was on the right track with Anthony Anderson, but just couldn't pull into the station, I guess. With that. So I think this is Marseille Martin. I said it last week. The clues matched up. And the clues this week match up, I think, even more, especially since she said ish. Famously, that's part of their deal, blackish, mixed-ish, grownish. So yeah, her being a child star, all of this matches up. I'm sticking with Marseille Martin. All right, so let's go back very, very briefly to the ship. I apologize for missing that. So the post-song clue for her was a locker, since she had talked about her school years in the clue package, and it was a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing, but it was only 3 degrees. There was a picture of Melissa Etheridge, then Whoopi Goldberg, then Kevin Bacon, and she explains that Whoopi Goldberg and Kevin Bacon were both in some movie I'd never heard of. Was it Destination Anywhere? Is that what it was? I forget what movie she said. And I guess Melissa Etheridge and Whoopi have some sort of connection, but she said she has a connection to Melissa Etheridge. And again, maybe there is some Annie Lennox connection there, but I can tell you for sure Paula Cole was on VH1 Duets with Melissa Etheridge. So there's that clue. All right, so finally we have the buffalo. And this is the one I had mentioned at the start of this video that some of these clues were making me second guess myself, and you're going to hear why when I talk about the buffalo. All right, there's 3 of these guys as the buffalo. When someone tells you can't do something, you want to do it more. We found each other on the trail, and then we see them playing cards. We have poker chips on the table. They said, we've succeeded by not giving a darn what people think. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We're funny as hell. And then we see a bottle of poison. It says poison on it. And then he says, do you, and don't let anybody tell you who to be. And they sang Waiting for a Girl Like You by Foreigner, which I don't think is on the soundtrack to Footloose, but I suppose it's in the movie. Or they just wanted to sing it. I don't know, but I think it must be in the movie. It's just not on the soundtrack. So their clue afterwards was a tractor that said Motown on the front. Footloose, very famous tractor in there. So they brought the tractor out and it said Motown for the license plate. And he says, or one of them said, we've been busy using the tractor to mow lawns. All right. I don't know if that was part of the comedy routine, but anyway, so the guesses from the panel, 112 was mentioned. Boys to Men was mentioned, but Robin said, I don't think it's Boys to Men because they said we found each other on the trail, meaning they did not come from the same family. They did not know each other. And in Boys to Men, the Stockton brothers are part of that. So he actually went with, he had mentioned the Jonas Brothers again like he did last week, but he went with Big Time Rush on this one. But it was Ken's guess that actually was exactly what I was thinking. And I hate this because Ken was right last week and I didn't go with him. I went with whoever I went with, Troy Aikman, and it was John Elway, who Ken said. This week he was right on Yvette Nicole Brown. This week he said Belle Biv DeVoe. Now, that is somebody, it's a trio, but those are people that he has mentioned on and off for seasons. He has always been talking about Belle Biv DeVoe being on the show, one or all 3 of them, whether it's Michael Bivins, Ralph Tresvant was a different part of New Edition, but who is it? Ricky Bell, and Ronnie DeVoe is Belle Biv DeVoe. And last season, I forget who it was, but he was like, it could be any 2 of them. And so here's the problem though. I actually think he might be right. And here's why. It wasn't so much the brother clue or the we found each other on the trail, to which Robin said, okay, there's not people in a family then. That didn't speak to me as much as the actual bottle of Poison. Poison was a huge hit for Belle Biv DeVoe. It might have been a #1 in 1990. And Belle Biv DeVoe, again, came from New Edition. So even though their 90s stuff was more hip hop, they certainly can sing. I mean, New Edition was a vocal group. But then the other part, after the Poison bottle, now, Michael Bivins did sign Boyz II Men, much like he signed Yvette Nicole Brown. So it's kind of odd that we've got all this, concurrently going on. Michael Bivins having his hand in a lot of these artists, or maybe it's him himself as the Buffalo with his buddies. But their second biggest hit after Poison was a song called Do Me. I admit, not very, PC, I guess. But it was a good tune. I have the 12-inch single for it. And at the end of the clue package, they said, do you, and don't let anybody tell you who to be. So you had the Poison bottle. You had the do you. And then you have Robin saying he doesn't hear Boyz II Men in the vocals. I'm going to change my vote to Belle Biv DeVoe. I can't believe I'm doing that because I went on and on last week about Philly and, Boyz II Men being from Philly, and I'm from Philly, and, all of the clues kind of were matching up for me. But seeing Poison and seeing or having them say "Do You," and having their second biggest hit be "Do Me," and Robin, being convinced that okay, now this is not members of a family. I don't hear Sean Stockton's voice in here. I'm gonna change my vote, and I may regret this big time. I don't know. But as soon as Ken said it, I was like, yeah, that's who I was thinking after the clue package. So I'm going to change it. I think it's Belle Biv DeVoe. And I hope I don't regret doing that. But either way, I'm positive that the ship is Paula Cole. And that is going to be my big success for this season. So anyway, that will do it next week. Are we going to make 4 or make 3 become 2 in Group A? Or are we going to move on to Group B next week? I don't know. But either way, we will find out together. And I will see you then. So thank you for watching. And we'll see you then.